Good stuff there from Jonathan Higgins over at Anfield last night. Your man saying that it's his first ever soccer game, let alone his first time at Anfield. I mean, he got pretty lucky there.
I just caught a bit of when they start saying using the word soccer, they're inexperienced. But those reactions are great. People coming out, that initial response from people, it's brilliant. It's not managed, it's not choreographed. You know what I mean? Just a natural expression. How people are feeling, a bit like those pictures we showed in the immediate aftermath of the final whistle. They're precious, great to see.
Yeah,
everybody must like on. I made a point last night with Joe. Look, I know we all have our loyalties in terms of club, ferocious loyalties. Liverpool, Manchester United, right between Liverpool now, Manchester City, the London clubs, North and South, all of that. And I know Manchester United, for example, big thing, we don't want Liverpool winning the league. I can understand it to a point. I don't quite buy into it myself. I support all the English clubs. I love to see them all do well. That's why I'm so excited about his Liverpool performance last night. But deep down, even if supporters won't even admit it to their nearest and dearest, there must be that little bit of a warm feeling, that bit of a warm glow deep down in terms of what happened at Anfield last night. More so like on a more of a human level rather than kind of a footballing one. May not even admit it to themselves. Bloody Liverpool have made. We'll never hear the last of this. But at the same time, there must be that feeling of wow, that was amazing to look at. Do you know what I mean? On a real kind of human level. I hope so. I hope there's not too much bitterness or bad form. Bloody Liverpool. I'm not going to hear the last of this. We all should be like. All should be buying, all should be celebrating really in terms of what Liverpool achieved last night. It's a great story on a lot of different levels.
I agree. I'd definitely be one of those people who say after the PSG game in the group stages, kind of would have taken the piss, being like, oh, another great night at Anfield, was it, and all that sort of stuff, which they tend to bang on about. But really, if you were actually watching that last night and when Liverpool go 1-0 up, if you are not rooting for Liverpool at that point, then there's something a little bit wrong with you, because you were on the precipice of sporting history. And really, as much as I like to take the piss out of the phrase, last night was an unbelievably special night at Anfield. I would have given anything just to be there, just to witness that, just to see what that was actually like to be in the ground. And you can just see the energy in that video there, the people just completely buzzing after it. And it's not going to leave them for a long, long time.
It won't, it was. And there was all at the back of everybody's mind, Liverpool players. I'm sure that's what drove the players, Klopp as well. His comments were perfect. You alluded to it there in terms of how we kind of pitched it before the game, the couple of days before. I thought it was absolutely perfect. No pressure on his players, not overly negative, no concession that this tie was over, but just a recognition of how difficult the task was. But we're going to have a go. We're going to give it our best. No regrets. Let's make it into a special evening. Let's see what happens. That type of thing. But I think driving it as well from a player's point of view, there's always that thing of a little bit of an embarrassment. You don't want to be embarrassed as well on the biggest stage. They went to that game 3-0 down. Barcelona get an early goal. I get into the ascendancy early last night. That game turns into an absolute nightmare. It's one of your worst footballing experience. That game could have been over after 20 minutes last night, and that's horrible. And I've played through those games where the game's done after 20 minutes. You still have to go through the motions. Atmosphere's died inside the stadium. It's a horrible feeling. You just got to get through it. So they would have had to guard against that a little bit last, but it would have drove those Liverpool players on as well. We don't want to find ourselves in that situation. If we're going to go down, we're going to go down with a real fight against this Barcelona team. And if you take that attitude into the game, like we said, magical things can happen. That's exactly how it panned out.
Well, let's get into how it did happen, because to me it just seemed like complete chaos.
Yeah, no, it was a little bit. Like I said, for me, I've probably more control madness for me. And we've all done it during our careers. We've gone into a game against superior opposition and you're trying to find a way. So how can we out-football them? We better play it? No. So how we... Right, we've got to disrupt them. Somehow we've got to disrupt them, get them out of their comfort zone. So that's the kind of controlled madness I'm talking about. So that's really intensity in terms of how you start the game. You get around the pitch, you make tackles, you might have to give away free kicks, you might have to put people on their backsides, get a reaction. We saw a lot of that in the first 5-10 minutes. Robertson give Messi a little slap across the head. Suarez was getting involved in a couple of things. Fabinho overly aggressive. Henderson, throwing their arms up and a free kick was going to see the crowd reacting to that, energising the crowd, all of those type of things. Now, if that's control, that was a good thing, and that helped Liverpool last night. It really stoked up the atmosphere inside the stadium. The Barcelona players would have been straight away, game on here, and they got that all-important first goal off the back of it. So that was one factor. Just
before we get into the tactics board, we've got a very, very important video to play. Let's have a look at what happened at the Aviva Stadium last week.
I'm still a believer in terms of Liverpool's season. There shouldn't be any negativity in this room. I can feel the kind of tectonic plate shifting under our feet as we speak. And I still genuinely feel it's going to bubble to the surface in the northwest of England either Monday night of next week or Tuesday at Anfield. Something's going to happen. And I still believe Liverpool are going to be either Champions League winners or league winners in a couple of weeks' time.
Mr. Kenny Cunningham does it again.
Yeah, not really. That called it. Yeah, hedging me bets more like. But no, I have felt for the period of time now, Liverpool, and it's becoming smaller and smaller and less likely some people would suggest, but I couldn't believe that they were going to finish this season without the league title or the Champions League. I just feel sport can be very cruel, and we know this, we've all suffered it. But on occasions, if you just keep at it, keep doing the right things, show the type of character Liverpool have been doing, and keep ploughing on, sometimes you just get rewarded. I've had that feeling for a while now with Liverpool. Keep at it, keep doing the same things, keep believing. That's what they've been doing. Newcastle game the other night, great at the weekend, great example of it. Looked as if they were down now. The league title aspirations were over. They didn't. They found a way, and that's been typical of them all season. So I've just had this feeling that their season isn't over. Something's going to that shift I spoke about. But that shift was going to happen even at this late stage, and it came at Anfield last night. Hopefully they'll take advantage now and go and win the final. But tactically, I mean, it's not an obvious one kind of tactically intent. The big standout feature for the game for me, and I've mentioned it before in terms of how Liverpool play, it's this Liverpool midfield three. Here's the Liverpool team. Here's the back four, two centre-halves. This was the lead up to the first goal. Matip on the ball, Robertson full-backs, Fabinho, two number 8s, Wijnaldum and Henderson, the front three. I can't exactly remember where Shaqiri was. Mane was over this side of the pitch. But the interesting thing for me over the two legs was the Barcelona shape. Barcelona traditionally 4-3. He would play exactly the same way Liverpool did. You remember Busquets, Iniesta, Xavi, even when they left the football club, predominantly always played this way, but it's changed under Valverde. It's more of a 4-4-2 with Barcelona. Messi playing just off Suarez, and kind of a midfield forward, Rakitic and Busquets playing alongside each other. So for me, this Liverpool team, it's key the way Klopp plays, heavy mate football, wherever you want. We know the front three, how good they are, attacking spaces in behind, but these two number 8s are key for me, and they're going to be key for Liverpool going forward, their future success. Last night it was Henderson and Wijnaldum in those positions, but you could very easily put Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain going forward in these areas of the pitch. And the type of runs that these make, and it's simple runs, it's not over-complicated stuff, but it's very hard to deal with. So what we saw last night was Matip played that big ball, diagonal ball across the pitch. Wasn't the greatest of balls. Landed on the head of Jordi Alba in this position here. He's tried to head the ball back to Longley into the feet of Mane, who's picked the ball in this position. Now, as that ball is travelling over there, these two number 8s have to come alive, and this is what you ask them to do. Don't always support from behind. At least one of them now has got to get his head down and run. Just run in a straight line over 20 yards. Now, you might say, well, what's overly complicated about that? No, it isn't overly complicated, but it's not easy to deal with as an opposition central midfield player to continue to have to track those runs. And what happened last night was Busquets got attracted towards the ball to double up at Longley in this position, and Henderson just ran off his shoulder into this area of the pitch and split the two centre-halves. Rakitic couldn't get across and deal with the run. Vidal was in a narrow position, wasn't his responsibility. So again, a classic example of one of those two number 8s for Liverpool, head down, sprinting as hard as you can into this area of the pitch, breaking beyond those two Barcelona players. And once you get into this area of the pitch, it's not easy. It is not easy to deal with. The ball was delivered into Henderson. PK came across to try and deal with him. But when a player now is travelling at speed into the box towards, and as a centre-half you're pretty static, that's tough. That's almost panic situations. Chopped a great little ball onto the inside and finished. So that Origi eventually finished. But it's that run, it's that third man run from midfield, the way Liverpool play, which is absolutely key. A lot of talk about the kind of front three high up the pitch, but these two number 8s arriving late in the box can be the most difficult run to pick up. And we saw it in the second half with Wijnaldum, Trent Alexander-Arnold down the right hand. So I'm not going to move all the positions around the pitch. Trent Alexander in this area of the pitch, when he picked the ball, Barcelona gave it away cheap. He looked into the box. He'd only one option. I think it was Mane. The two Barcelona centre halves were in this area of the pitch. Mane was trying to make the middle of the box. Origi was actually back here in this area of the pitch. But don't worry about what's happening here. We got Trent Alexander-Arnold in possession of the football. Barcelona players trying to get across. Two centre-halves in a decent defensive position. Mane trying to break the lines and get in behind. And where's Gini Wijnaldum? He's here. Busquets again getting drawn across the pitch. Now Vidal's the closest midfielder. What's going to happen? He's going to run in a straight line, 15, 20 yards at speed, and basically asks his marker, can you stay with me? And the answer is, by the time that ball comes into the box, it gets deflected and actually arrives into this area here in front of the two centre-halves. This is what I'm talking about. Sometimes the ball, when it arrives in front of centre-halves, it's the most difficult ball because your body momentum is taking you back towards a goal. To have to plant your feet and actually go again quickly and intercept, that's not easy. So you're dependent on that holding midfield player, one of your centre midfield players getting back and tracking that run. And Vidal didn't make it. It was as simple as that. He just couldn't live with the pace of Wijnaldum, couldn't keep up with him, and he gets himself as tapping Wijnaldum drives into the box. So again, we're seeing similarities in terms of the first two Liverpool goals. Third Liverpool goal, build up down the left-hand side, Shaqiri ball into the box. Who's in there? Origi, as you would expect, as the central striker. But Georgie Wijnaldum getting himself in that kind of advanced midfield position. Now I'm going to get myself into the box. I'm going to give the crosser ball another option in the box, and it's a brilliant header. And that's what he's good at. I remember a couple of fantastic headers from him when he first came to the football club, and that was a great header last night. Angled the ball back across the goalkeeper into the corner of the net. So again, in terms of kind of style of play, a bit of madness we're talking about, but if you look at those, if you deconstruct those first 3 goals from Liverpool, you know, ball into a wide area. Don't overcomplicate it. Clear your feet, put the ball into the box. Yeah, little bit of movement from your front players, whether it's Mane or Origi, trying to occupy centre halves, maybe trying to dive between them, get across in front. But it's that third man run. It's always that third man run from a defensive point of view. It's difficult to pick up because you get drawn to those centre forwards. That run from Mane, Origi checking off your back shoulder centre half. They're the ones you're most interested in. That third man runner who arrives late, at times you can't see him, and he's arriving at speed with momentum. Even if he gets up to head it and you feel as if, yeah, I can challenge for this, you're jump from a standing jump. He's travelling at speed with real momentum, particularly somebody who can jump and head it like Wijnaldum. That's difficult to deal with, and Liverpool do that really well. And this is where I feel this system of play really suits them. They have players now. Henderson now is playing that more advanced role, which I think suits him. Wijnaldum, we saw it last night. I'd like to see him play more there, because probably for me, he's probably their best finisher in those number 8 positions. Probably not as dynamic as athletics, the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain and Henderson, but never panics inside the box as we saw last night. Oxlade-Chamberlain key to coming in. So for me, they're really well served. A year ago, that was Liverpool problem. Central area of the pitch, they needed reinforcement. He's gone and solved it with the players he's brought into the football club. Oxlade-Chamberlain, Fabinho Keita, obviously. So Liverpool now are strong in that area of the pitch, but they're very consistent. A lot of talk about, we're over-talking it. People have talked this season, looked at Liverpool, they're lacking that little bit of creativity, that midfield trait. They haven't really got that creative spark. No, they need a number 10, play with a 2 and an orthodox number 10. Yeah, I can understand it, but that's what you sacrifice. When you do that, you sacrifice those 2 number 8s, and Liverpool have players now who are as good as anybody in that area of the pitch. And that troubles opposition. Centre midfielders, Busquets, having to turn and run 20, 30 yards. Vidal, Rakitic, they can't do it. Players at the very top level struggle with this type of high-intensity football. And it came up trumps for Liverpool last night.
I'd be interested to see how different that might have been if Firmino and Salah had been there. Would they have played the exact same way?
Oh, absolutely. Predominantly nothing changed. Liverpool played as 4-3-3. In fact, obviously you could argue that it carried more of an attacking threat. Sheahan didn't have a good game last night.
Yeah.
he didn't play well. He looked for me a little bit out of sorts. So yeah, you strengthened that team by putting Salah, Firmino. Nothing changed in terms of that dynamic in central midfield. Nothing changed. In fact, it makes their job a little bit easier because you have players with Firmino and Salah whose ball retention is better, who'll keep hold of the ball, whose final product is better. So these two number 8s will actually have better opportunities in terms of getting themselves higher up the pitch. So this doesn't change. This kind of template in terms of how they play for me doesn't change. And for me, I'd like to see him stay this way rather than getting Fekir. If they had got Fekir in, he's a clever little operator, number 10. But yeah, you gain that to an extent, but you lose this. You lose that, and that's what won the game. That's what sent Liverpool through last night for me. One of the many things, spoke about willpower, character, all of those things, but if you take the emotion out of it and you actually break down the game in terms of where it was won and lost, this was key for me. The role of these two number 8s. Ronaldo coming on those runs, the run from Henderson first half was absolutely simple in some respects. Schoolboy football, 11, 12, 13 years of age, or a member here in the stand on the field. Yeah, go on, get in the box. One sit, go on, get into the box, arrive late. That's, basic fundamentals of the game, but not easy to deal with. And Liverpool do it better than most and got the rewards.
Is there anything a team can do tactically to stop a team that are so effective at arriving late into the box?
No, well, you can stop crosses.
Just pure fitness, just pure running with your man, good man marking.
Yeah, starting position's important as well. If you're up against, if I'm Busquets and I'm up against Jordan Henderson, I'm standing on the halfway line, and I sense as if Liverpool are going to get a bit of penetration down the sides, I better give myself 5 to 7 yards start on Henderson. I better drop off and give myself a good head start, because if it comes to a straight run over 20, 30 yards, I've got absolutely no chance. So it's a little bit of heart and desire to actually keep doing it and tracking that run, but sometimes physically you're not capable of doing it, so you've got to be smart. Your starting position's got to be a little bit deeper. Full-backs have got to get closer to the crosses, actually stop the cross into the box. I think centre-halves a little bit more aggressive as well. PK for the Wijnaldum goal last night, I'm looking at the ball coming over his head, and it's a little bit, I wouldn't say he kind of shirked it, but in terms of really imposing himself, and Virgil van Dijk in that situation is imposing himself, he's knocking people out of the way, and he's going ahead in that ball 10 yards, 10, 15 yards to the edge of the penalty box and beyond. Gerald Piqué, he was in there. Yeah, if it comes to me, I'm going to head it, but I'm not going to knock people out of the way like a bowling ball, and this is my ball, all or nothing type thing. Never got that sense of it. So yeah, there's individually smaller things that teams can do better. But like I said, as a defender of those positions, that is not easy to deal with. Back to front quickly, wide areas, crosses, early cross into the box, people committing themselves into the box to get on the end of things. That's tough to defend against. It
definitely is. Like, you've mentioned crossing a good bit there, and I think crossing's had a bit of a hard time over the last 5 years. I mean, particularly under Manchester United's Louis van Gaal's side. I mean, they were castigated for the amount of crossing, and that it was kind of deemed that crossing was a very ineffective way to actually break a team down. Is this starting to change a little bit? Are Liverpool showing that essentially it's the pace of the ball as much as the accuracy, just to disrupt the defenders in the box, just to make them, give them a little bit of less of a time to clear the ball, and you don't know what's going to happen?
Yeah, I agree with you. Your sense is a little bit went out of fashion. A number of years ago, well, we're all going to play a certain way. We're going to play the beautiful game. We're going to make the pitch as big as possible. We're going to progress slowly up the pitch. Plenty good little combinations, easy on the eye. But you're absolutely right. For me, when I see teams get the ball in those wide areas and consistently put those type of crosses into the box, for me, it's always made sense. Why get the ball in a wide area where Alexander did last night? When you got an opportunity to put the ball into a good area, you got people committing themselves into the box. Why would you pass that up, check out and play a sideways or a backward pass, and look for a better position on the inside? That doesn't make sense. Get a chance to put the ball in the box, put it in, with good quality. And that's what Liverpool do. Double figures in assists, Alexander-Arnold and Robertson likewise. That's not coincidence. They are clearly told, get into these areas. But now you need people in the box, need to make clever runs, got to be brave, good headers of the ball helps. Firmino's a good head of the ball. Salah, has to be fair to him, is a decent head of the ball. Mane's kind of brave. But then you got the likes of Wijnaldum arriving, like Keita, Henderson, brave as well, prepared to throw themselves. So obviously you need to set your team up to play that way. No point in playing this way, putting the ball in the box. You got a centre forward who doesn't want to head the ball. You got centre midfielders who don't really want to make the box. Always want to pick up second balls on the edge of the box. But Klopp has clearly constructed the team in that fashion. He's got players who are prepared to make those runs and make it as difficult as possible. You're absolutely right, Owen. Wide areas of the pitch, I love. You say to me, we all love different types of goal. You know, we all can appreciate different qualities in terms of goals scored. But for me, if you just say to me a certain type of goal, a goal which gets me almost off my seat when I watch it, it can be the simplest of things. Full back, a winger in a wide area, beat his man, shift it, good quality cross into the box, beats the first man, somebody arriving, whether it's a centre forward, opposite winger, central midfield man, arriving late, up, head, goal. That's still, for me, in the modern game where the game has kind of changed a little bit in terms of perception, how the game wants to be. But that type of goal for me still gets me, still exhilarates me, almost gets me up off me seat, and it's still effective. And for me, it will always be a key part of the game. And some managers still recognise that, appreciate it. Even teams playing at the level Liverpool are, you know, still lean on those type of situations, those type of attacks in the last tour, because Klopp knows it reaps dividends, and clearly with this Liverpool team, it does.
One other thing I want to chat about is kind of the debate we've been having about analysis and tactical analysis rather than, I guess, more old school analysis over the last couple of weeks.
Don't start talking it down. Oh, don't.
I'm not talking it down.
I won't have a job.
I'm not talking it down, but Graham Souness last night on Virgin Media was like, I'm not going to throw my pen this week, but this shows you've got to be first to the ball. And ultimately, I don't know, was there a bit of a non-nuanced kind of debate going on over the past couple of weeks after the Roy Keane comments after the Manchester derby and all that basically it was this tactics versus heart debate. Is this Liverpool team proving that both things have to coexist? They absolutely have to coexist. There is no point having a plan unless you have players who are willing to make those long busting runs that the likes of Wijnaldum and Henderson are making, and to get first to the ball.
Yeah. No, you have to have both. You hear a lot. I think, the bit of conversation last couple of weeks, I know you're talking about Roy was quoted quite a lot. Graham Souness as well. Graham's pretty consistent in terms of what he comes out, and they're absolutely right. There's basic fundamentals of the game which have to be prepared to do in terms of running power. You know, tracking people, making a run to create a passing lane for one of your teammates, getting around, making tackles, trying to physically impose yourself, be vocal, like, you know, demand of people, giving from all those type of things. Yeah, absolutely. That should be paramount. That should be demanded. But the tactics, a lot of people would play down the tactics. They're over. Overplayed. It's not about tactics. It's never been about tactics. It's about both. It really is. And the very best teams of the last 10 years, you look at them, they're meticulously prepared. The great Barcelona team under Guardiola, in terms of the attention to detail on the training pitch, patterns of play in possession, how they pressed out of possession, that just doesn't happen, you know, an hour before the game. You know, that's time upon time upon time on the training pitch in terms of preparation. So basically you need both, and the very best teams traditionally, and certainly in the modern era, very well coached, have both, and I think it really does matter. And I thought we saw that in the Liverpool performance, bucket loads of that heart that you're talking about. But also in terms of Liverpool kept a good general shape to the team and stayed loyal to those kind of principles that we're talking about in terms. Didn't forget how they played, didn't forget what their strengths were last night, how they could hurt Barcelona and what they're actually good at. We saw that last night, what Liverpool are good at. Not overly complicating the game in terms of getting the ball from there to there, getting the ball from back to front quickly and into those wide areas, immediately sensing opportunity to put good quality crosses into the box. That's what they've done predominantly under Klopp. And again, like I said, it came to fruition for them again last night.
Loads of reaction, as you can imagine, coming through on YouTube, on Facebook and on Twitter. Zeta on YouTube says, with all respect to Istanbul, this comeback is even bigger because Liverpool did it without their top players and almost nobody believed it before the game. They also go on to say that Liverpool versus Ajax will really be a dream match, but I'm also afraid of Ajax because the Ajax game style could be hard on Liverpool. They could handle Spurs much easier. Rory on Facebook, meanwhile, says, Off the Ball Live is made for these mornings. This is filling the void after the game last night. And Runeman on Periscope says, excellent analysis on the goals, Kenny, so don't let anybody tell you that tactics aren't important.
That's a mess at the moment. That's an absolute mess. Just forget about that.
Who should Liverpool fans be supporting tonight?
Well, I'll be supporting Tottenham for the reasons that I've said. I always support the English team, and I've really enjoyed the jobs Pochettino's done. It's interesting, there's kind of similarities there. How often kind of this season, the last maybe year, 18 months on, have we heard in terms of criticism of Klopp and Pochettino? Yeah, they're doing well, yeah, but trophies? Really? Trophies? He's not doing that well, is he? no trophies on the table. And for me, it's always a weak argument. You've got to push that aside and look at the job that they're doing in terms of the team, the squad that they're constructing, the quality of football that we're playing. Are players improving under their tutelage in terms of the recruitment? Is the recruitment good? Are they heading in the right direction? Are they improving, getting better? Are they getting the maximum of what's available to them? And Pochettino is probably the best example of that in terms of kind of money spent, in terms of getting the very best out of the resources available to him. I think he's done probably better than anybody, probably better even than Klopp in that respect. So we have potentially two managers coming into a Champions League final. I hope Spurs do it. I still think of course it's possible for them to win. I wouldn't say I'm expecting them to win, but in a funny way, I'll be a little surprised if they don't. This Spurs team is more than capable. Forget about Harry Kane, Son available this evening. If he gets the tactical setup right, and generally Pochettino, I have no problems saying how he sets up the team, but I was a little bit worried when I saw how they shaped up in the first leg in London. I didn't think they got the tactical setup right in terms of played the three at the back, played a very narrow. I don't think it suited them. They looked a little bit ill at ease in that first 25 minutes. Players looked a little bit fatigued, and I don't think the shape of the team helped them. I think the shape needed to be a little bit more kind of compact. When they kind of changed, went to a diamond after about kind of half an hour, kind of helped them a little bit. But I'll be interested if he kind of gets the setup right, whether it's a kind of a diamond or more of a 4-3-3 for me would suit me. You know what I mean? So you're not leaving any obvious spaces for Ajax to attack into, particularly down the sides. You can drop into a nice compact shape, and you can break quickly, sun up the pitch, potentially more operating off one of the flanks, and kind of break quickly from a kind of really solid defensive position. So I think they're more than capable. Spurs can't say I definitely think they're gonna do it, but actually be a little bit surprised. All they got to do is win a game of football. I said it to John inside. Just got to go there and win. And this Spurs team can do it. They can soak up pressure. Vertonghen coming back in, they're good enough defensively. Sissoko will come in, that kind of energy which I speak about, that running power in midfield. Sissoko coming on the first leg, he changed the dynamic a little bit in there. Maybe him, Wanyama. Unfortunately, Wings won't be available. But that kind of running power, that physicality in central midfield, and throw in Son's ability, his running power up front, more off the flanks. Eriksen, that little creative spark which he can give him. He can easily, I could see Spurs turning over that deficit. But at the same time, you're right, the Ajax team is a beautiful team to watch. Totally different beast in terms of the youth in the team, playing a different type of football. But for the first time on for me, real kind of pressure. You could say, well, they've dealt with pressure. They've gone to the Bernabeu, they've gone to Juventus as well. They've dealt with the pressure, they've proved they have, but slightly different in terms that they've gone away from home in the second leg, kind of chasing the game a little bit, shackled off a little bit. So again, having won now the first leg, coming back home, almost an expectancy now on the shoulders of those young Ajax players, your favourites to go through. It's almost there, you 1 foot in the final. You don't blow it. Those type of little kind of negatives, interest in any number of those players, are they getting a little bit of a sense of that in their heads, and whether that will affect the collective performance against Spurs. If it does, Spurs have enough quality to turn them over. I hope they do it. I hope Spurs do it. Ajax Liverpool is a great ring to it. You roll back the decades like in the Ajax Liverpool final, I think it would be absolutely amazing. But hand on heart, I honestly hope Tottenham do it.